In just a week of Trump being elected president, he has come in hot, reaffirming the promises that he made on his campaign. And the internet is in an uproar about his recent video on reforming the Department of Education. Let's get into it.
Tuition costs at colleges and universities have been exploding, and I mean absolutely exploding, while academics have been obsessed with indoctrinating America's youth. The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left. Our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. It's called accreditation for a reason. The accreditors are supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they have failed totally. When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges once again and once and for all. These standards will include defending the American tradition and Western civilization, protecting free speech, eliminating wasteful administrative positions that drive up costs incredibly, removing all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats, offering options for accelerated and low-cost degrees, providing meaningful job placement and career services, and implementing college entrance and exit exams to prove that students are actually learning and getting their money's worth. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit, unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America. Thank you.
As someone who went through the educational system and got a master's degree and have also taught in school, I agree 1,000% with what Donald Trump is saying about education. I think it's time for us to take a hard look at the cost of education and the indoctrination happening inside the institution. Now, the plan that he just outlined was for secondary school, but he also outlined a plan for primary school. Let's check that out.
The United States spends more money on education than any other country in the world, and yet we get the worst outcomes. We're at the bottom of every list. In total, American society pours more than $1 trillion a year into public education systems. But instead of being at the top of the list, we are literally right smack, guess what, at the bottom. Rather than indoctrinating young people with inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material.
Hold on, I don't want to let that fly by. I think that's very important. We pay the most for education, but we're at the bottom. Once again, as an educator, knowing that they incentivize failure at many of these schools, knowing that if they have a certain level of at-risk students, they get more government funding, right? It's very interesting when we talk about how much money we spend on education, because when people stop looking at money in a one-dimensional way and they start looking at money in a multi-dimensional way, then you can understand different people. For example, as a poor person, you will look at a rich person and say, man, they got a lot of money. Everything that they do is for the motives of making more money. But when you can understand the perspective of a rich person, you say, well, hold on. George Soros is not doing what he's doing just to make more money. He's doing what he's doing for power and control. And so when we look at a lot of this money that's being spent in education as a form of indoctrination, this money is coming from somewhere, right? They want to keep us at a fourth grade reading level because this is how they control the masses. There's an assault on our children. The adults are cooked already, right? They like, man, we got you. You know what I mean? We ruined you when you was young. Now we want to get to your kids. You see what I'm saying? So this is why we spend so much money, because we incentivize failure. It doesn't take that much to educate a child. So what he outlined is a perfect relationship. You spending more money, but you getting the worst results. That must mean you spending your money on the worst results. That's what that means.
Rather than indoctrinating young people with inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material, which is what we're doing now, our schools must be totally refocused to prepare our children to succeed in the world of work and in life and the world of keeping our country strong, so they can grow up to be happy, prosperous, and independent citizens. We owe our children great schools that lead to great jobs and leads to an even greater country that we're living in right now. Right now, we're living in a failing nation because of Joe Biden and these people running it. They're Marxists, they're communists. What they're doing to our country is incredible, but we'll take care of that for our children.
Now, I want to give a big shout out to Thomas Sowell. It was Thomas Sowell that taught me, ever since sexual education was introduced, we've gotten worse results. We have more illegitimate births. We have more STDs, a myriad of problems. And what Thomas Sowell said is, I'm amazed at how many things the liberals and the progressives say that people accept as facts with no data to back it up.
Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to control the education of their children. Second,
I like the way that sound.
We will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They will be fired.
I like the way that sounds too.
On The Apprentice, you're fired. Third, we will ensure our classrooms are focused not on political indoctrination, but on teaching the knowledge and skills needed to succeed. Reading, writing, math, science, arithmetic, and other truly useful subjects. Fourth, we will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught right now. Fifth, we will support bringing back prayer to our schools. Sixth, we will achieve schools that are...
I love the way all of that sound. Love your country, bring prayer back to schools. I love the way that sounds.
Safe, secure, and drug-free, with immediate expulsion for any student who harms a teacher or another student. Seventh, we will give all parents the right to choose another school for their children if they want. It's called school choice. Eighth, we will ensure students have access to project-based learning experiences inside the classroom to help train them for meaningful work outside the classroom. Ninth, we will strive to give all students access to internships and work experiences that can set them on a path to their first job. They're going to be very, very successful. I want them to be more successful than Trump. Let them go out and be more successful. I will be the happiest person in the world. But we want our children to have a great life and be successful. And 10th, we will ensure that all schools provide excellent jobs and career counseling so that high school and college students can get a head start on jobs and careers best suited to their God-given talents. This is how we will ensure a great education for every American child. And
that was big what he just said, because if you've been in the school system as a teacher or a counselor or a principal, one job that is so important that often gets diminished is the school counselor.
Oh, no,
for yes, for careers and things of that nature. What they do is they take that person away from what they should actually be doing, and they get them to do a whole bunch of other stuff around the school that's not pertaining to them being a school counselor and helping kids with their career path. And so what he's saying is very, very important, right? And it's a lot of bureaucracy that has to be broken down in order for him to actually accomplish that. But that last thing that he said was very key, because it takes a lot more to prepare a child for the real world than just going to see a guidance counselor once a year, or them coming in doing a slideshow talking about different careers and things of that nature. Like, that's just one day where you coming in talking to the students, but they need to know that you plugged in, that they can come see you. When they see you, they need to feel confident in that they could be something in life. But it's not the counselor's fault, though. It's usually the administration's fault, because they stopped the counselor from actually being able to do their work by having them do a whole bunch of other responsibilities.
One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
I love everything that Trump just said. As a father, the only thing that I want is for my children to be better than me, for my children to have a better life. You see what I'm saying? And I believe that that's a characteristic trait that carries through it different things. Okay, if I want my kids to have the best future that they can have, why wouldn't I want their friends to have the best future? Why wouldn't I want the school to have the best future? Why wouldn't I want the state, the country, the world? Why wouldn't I want everything to be better? So I just like that mindset. And, a lot of us have gotten complacent in thinking like, things can't be better. The 3 highest principles in the Bible is hope, faith, and love. Right? We have to bring back optimism. We have to bring back hope that things can be better. Everybody knows that the school system is a scam. Everybody knows that. You can look at the college debt from 2004 till now, right? It went from $346 billion to $1.74 trillion. And one of the main catalysts for that was the banks and all of these private companies signed a document. George Bush signed in 2005 a law into place where you can't file bankruptcy on your loans. So now when you go into college, they can raise the prices up because they like, no matter how much we raise it up, we're going to give them the loans. We're going to put them in debt early. We got to get out of the naive mindset that a lot of these people have good hearts. They don't. It's warfare out here. You get in tons of debt, and then next thing you know, you coming out of college, before you even have a career, you got $100,000 in debt, $120,000 in debt that you owe them and is accruing interest. It's an interest-bearing loan. Once you go from subsidized to unsubsidized, it's gaining interest every single day. All right. Now, if you now in 20 years you could discharge your debt. In 25 to 20 years you get discharge your debt. But that's 20 to 25 years where they had you in debt. All right. And the reason why they're able to do that is because you cannot file bankruptcy. They made it to where you can't file bankruptcy. So that's a part of the scam. And so when we look at the Department of Education and we look at a lot of the systems that the federal government put in place, these are all psyops that have been used to dumb us down, to dumb down our children. And it's so crazy. In closing, I want to read you guys an insert from this book called Behold a Pale Horse. Here's what it says. The quality of education given to the lower class must be of the poorest sort, so that the moat of ignorance isolating the inferior class from the superior class is and remains incomprehensible to the inferior class. With such an initial handicap, even bright lower class individuals have little, if any, hope of extricating themselves from their assigned lot in life. This form of slavery is essential to maintaining some measure of social order, peace, and tranquility for the ruling upper class. This is how they look at the education that they give you. Okay? I just want to be clear. And what I'm saying is, this is why I love everything that Donald Trump is talking about. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, click the link below. I have another video similar to this one, and I'll see y'all over there. Peace.